have fond memories of sorting through seed packets as a child with my mom when we'd go to the garden center. And she'd always let me pick out another vegetable to try. One year I decided to grow some garden peas, and I just delighted in watching them come up and watching those pods fill, but I really did not enjoy shelling the peas. So now I stick to peas that have edible pods, like our sugar snap and our snow peas. And today I'm going to be planting snow peas. Those are the kind that are flattened, and we often use them in Oriental dishes. To get started, actually before I start, you want to think about the fact that most peas need to be staked. They need to be supported as they grow because they're rather viney. There are a few cultivars that are bushy and kind of support one another, but for the most part they need some sort of support system. So I've decided to make two teepee style rows or triangular rows that will support my peas. So I'm going to dig and plant a row of peas at the base of each side of that triangle. So I'll have 4 rows here. So to start that off, I'm simply going to use a hoe to dig out a narrow furrow where I will be putting my seeds. The pea seeds eventually are going to be about 1 inch deep, so you can use that depth to determine how deep to dig your furrow. You might notice I stepped over my bed. I don't like to walk in my planting beds because it compacts the soil. So I typically work from the aisles. That way I keep my soil nice and loose. You can see how fresh and healthy it is, and nice and loose soil. Okay, so my peas, to get started, I just want to space them about 3 inches apart in the rows. They're pretty large, so it's easy to set your peas at the proper distance. Unlike some of those smaller seeded vegetables where you have to come back and thin them out, you can usually get it pretty good spacing right off the bat with your peas. Once they're in, just cover them with soil from your furrow. You know, we're not necessarily going to cover them completely. We only want them to be about 1 inch below the soil. If your soil's still up on the edges, that's okay. Now, all seeds need moisture to germinate, and that includes our pea seeds, but we don't want them to be wet. A wet soil can cause rotting of the peas, but they do need moisture to germinate, so you want to keep it evenly damp. And to do that, we have an irrigation system. I pulled it back to work in the bed, but I'm going to use just a drip irrigation, and that'll help keep the soil damp enough to germinate. Once those plants come up, we need to increase the irrigation to about 1/2 inch per week. And then once they flower, they'll need about 1 inch of water each week. So if it doesn't rain, we're going to be getting into the raining season, hopefully. But if it doesn't rain, we'll want to irrigate. Now this is a great time to also plant some other spring crops. In fact, you can intercrop with your peas some lettuces, chard or spinach, and then radishes also are great to plant among our peas. This is a good time to plant those, as well as carrots and potatoes and beets. So it's a great time to get our spring garden off to a great start.